don't know why I'm rubbing my hands together, it's actually quite warm today. Water temperature in the lake's up as well. Just to give you an idea, it's the 17th, 18th of March. It's quite warm outside. In fact, we've just had a thunderstorm, so it's a bit sticky and humid. So for the first time in ages, I'm quite warm in here. If it wasn't for the fact I've got a decent t-shirt under here, I wouldn't be having this on right now. Where are we? Skip bike part 3 took a bit longer than I expected. She's actually looking pretty good at the moment. I'm quite impressed with the old Skipperoonie. So we've managed to mash together some parts that weren't necessarily supposed together, and the up and down shifter's working fine there. Can't test the back shifter until we get the wheels on, so I propose the next thing we do is get the wheels sorted out. I do know we've got an issue with the wheels. Both of them need stripping out and re-greasing and cleaning out because they are a bit graunchy. So we'll get them done and get the new tyres on. I've bought some new tyres. I know it's a zero cost, but I think I explained in the other video that I couldn't use the tyres that were on because they were a bit, wait for it, tired. So we'll crack them together. I'm reusing the thing. That's the only thing I've bought for it. I've managed to replace that at the parts bin. I've cleaned up the saddle. I do need to see if I can make that green or black rather than red. We'll have to give that a dusting. I've reused all the brakes. They're all fine. This back one's a little bit sticky, so we might have to have a look at that. That might need a new cable. Or it could be something else. It could be that it's because it's pulling through there. That's the issue, but we'll find that out when we get it on the ground. Not much left to do really. It's just get the wheels on, get the tyres on, get the pedals on. I think it's just final tuning then and away to go. So it might potentially be a short one unless these wheels turn out to be a bit tricky, but they are cup and cone and loose bearings, so I hate loose bearing wheels. I don't know why we're still using them. I mean, okay, this bike's quite old. I'd had a rough estimate that it's somewhere 15 to 20 years old, this bike, at a guess. But hey ho, and we'll put it for sale and see what we get for it. I think it's probably worth somewhere between 30 and 40, only because it's got brand new tyres on it and it's had a complete strip down and a service. So it's, other than cosmetic damage, it's as good as a new bike, bomb-proof wise. I mean, all the issues it had with the massive amount of head knock it got, there was nothing wrong with that. It was just poorly adjusted. So that's been all stripped out and re-greased. The bottom bracket's been stripped out and re-greased, much to my annoyance. We've replaced the crank with one off an old mountain bike. I think it was Evo's bike that came. So I've used that. It is slightly smaller, but I think it'll be fine. It's probably 2 teeth smaller because I've had to take 2 teeth out of the chain. So we'll see where we are with that. The ratio should be a little bit better for less fit riders. So I think it'll make a great bike for a kid, or it's absolutely hammering it down. Right, I'm going to cut it there because I need to go and get my wetsuit in off the dry. Right, wetsuit rescued off the railings. It's a pain up the backside if I get it nearly dry, because it needs to be sort of not dripping so I can take it in the house and put it on the radiator. So 10 minutes in rain, it will be absolutely sodden again. These are the tyres I bought. They were the cheapest reasonable make tyres that I could get without getting the super horrible ones that weigh a ton. So I can't remember what make they were. I think they were Light On or something like that. They were they were a brand I've seen before, but can't get out of the bag. That's it, we've got that off. So I think we'll get these out now and let them free themselves up. Where can I hang them? Come on, pick a bike, any bike will do. That one will do. I think they're going to look alright, these. They're not the black and tans like the other one, or they've not got a speed stripe in them, but they're quite nice. They're relatively narrow. I tend to find with these kind of bikes you don't want massive great tyres on them because it just makes them hard to ride. So I think that's a bit shonky. Now you know why they were so cheap. I think these were 175s. There'd be 2s at a max. Right, they're 210s. I think I replaced them with 175s. .26 195, so they're only slightly smaller actually, so they'll be fine. They'll provide a nice roll then. They won't be they'll be nice and grippy, but they won't be too big and massive. But they provide too much of a resistance. But right, let's crack on, get these wheels done. Boom. That better? I'm not sure where we ended up with that. Oh, I've got flipping tape stuck to my feet. So I've just recorded about 5 minutes, so I don't know if I did record 5 minutes. Who knows? But that's never going to work with the focus there. Let's move you back a bit. Move you up a bit. Put the focus on that. Sorry, I'm back again. Back again with the Renegade Master. We're kind of still suffering from, there's a lot of halfway through projects at the moment, including the other workshop. So this is why, and we strimmered the walkway up to the other workshop the other day. It's not our property, but it needed doing, and it's only fair that we pull our weight with it, to be honest. So strimmer cable. I've got a pile of strimmers over there that needs sorting out as well. That was from, I can't remember what we were doing with that. We were testing something. Oh, it's absolutely banging. Keep hearing water as well, which is a bit worrying. I think it's outside. I hope it's outside anyway. That's the other toolkit. That's the Porto toolkit. Put that in there. Shut the door. Right, we may need that. That's a parts. That's in the parts cupboard. So that was from a few weeks ago. You can't beat gaffer tape. Right, put that over there. Push all of this lot over here and put these away. Shouldn't need these, I've got proper tools for doing this now. Right, now we go get some spanners and a wheel. Which wheel do you want to do first? You want to do the front wheel or the back wheel? Back wheel, right, okay, we'll do the back wheel first. Let's hang these up out of the way. Oh. Ow. Oh. That was the wheel truing frame, also known as a really old turbo trainer. Right, so you've seen me do these before. The way I do it is I rest in one of these. First just check the spokes, they're fine. Check it's running true. That's okay. The rubber definitely needs a bit of work with it. It's either one side or the other. So I'm just gonna try and realign it so it's actually in the middle, because that can cause problems with tyre seating, and I think we're going to get some of that looking at the state of them tyres I bought. Made a right mess of that. I'll let go of it. Don't let go of it. I've let go of it again. All I'm doing is just trying to keep it above my finger and then letting it lay down in the groove. And then hopefully at some point we get it so it's not sitting on its edge. We've got past the difficult bit, we're past the hole there, the valve hole, so I'm not too fussed now. It seems to be behaving itself. We'll get there eventually. Come on, all the way. God, how far round did it go? Right, I think that's it, to be honest. Problem is, if you leave the rubber, it actually, that piece there, you can see it's been pinched by the tyre, so it's actually sticking into the bit where the clincher part of the tyre. So these rims are, in case you don't know, well let's do it properly. This style of rim is called a clincher rim. So the bead of the tyre sits into a recess around the edge of the rim there, and it clinches it, as opposed to a tub that has a smooth surface that's stuck on with tub tape, believe it or not. Or you get a tubeless tyre that still has a clincher bead, but it's a slightly different bead, and there's a slightly different recess in the rim. Now some wheels are universal, you can use them for both. I've got a theory you can actually make any wheel a tubeless wheel, but we'll cover that another day. But they have a protective liner on, and you've got to make sure that liner doesn't get into the bead where the tyre, into the bit where the tyre bead's supposed to go, or it can cause problems like the tyre not sitting properly, which is what we had on one of the bikes that was here the other day. Now this doesn't look that bad. I think that'll clean up okay. I think it's supposed to be like a goldy colour. We'll put a bit of oil in there, but what I want to do is get that out, because it feels smooth enough, and then all of a sudden you hit a rough bit, which means there's a bit of muck or a dirty ball in there that's rotating round, causing some problems. So let me get my my spectacle spanglers out. I won't need most of these, but there is an assortment of cone spanners. So these are really thin spanners. It's not really a 19. That might be an 8. No, it's not an 18. Nowhere near. 14. No, I think a 14 is too small. Not for a kid's bike. 17. No, 17 is kind of the new ones. 15 or 16 if I had to guess. Right, so the outer nuts are 16. I would put money on the inner nuts are 15, and the only one I haven't got is a 15. I've got two 19s because a lot of the moderns have that. I would guess that's a 15, but I need an open-ended 15. Come on, there must be another one in here. Ah, there's another two. Right, so we have got a 13 and a 15. It's not a 13. I think it's a 15. I'll check it on. Oops. Check it on this side. So the one of these will have a little recess in it. That's made me a liar. Right, so it's a 16 for the outer nut, and it is a, oh, that's interesting. Oh, 17. Oh, that's going to make life interesting. Right, that's a good job we have got these spanners then. I will just take that off and hope we've not lost the other one. And I will go and get a magnetic tray. What bits? As a rule, it's generally easier to take these off at the opposite side to the, I mean, you could actually use just an adjustable spanner on that one. Right, that wasn't very tight at all, which means it could be grunty because it's actually been wound in when somebody's been trying to undo the tyre, under the wheel. So what happens is you might be undoing it, and if that snags on a thread, it actually starts to turn the axle and tightens up the axle in these. Right, so take note of how these come off. That's knurled, they went together, that's flat, so that's how they go. Right, so this should come off now, and that's good. It looks like the seal is a solid seal. So hand underneath, you could actually that is spinning in the cup on the other side, so I suspect this has been wandering a little bit. Now I've got to be careful, because what I don't want to do is alter the run out down there, because I'm going to have to reclamp these back up, but this has now hit a stop, so I'm going to have to be pretty careful. Right, that's it. So you can see that's turning on the thread there, which it shouldn't be. So what we'll do is we'll just nip that up. In fact, let's get them bearings out. Oh, they don't want to fall out after all that. Let's not get the bearings out then. Come on. Right, this should be tight, and it's not, so I suspect that is why we've had a bit of an issue. It's tightened itself up. So now I should be able to hold on to this and undo this. There's the right spanner. So these cone spanners are thin because you don't always have a lot of access to work on them. Now I'm being a bit riskier because the bearings could fall out. And it does look like somebody's been in here. There's a massive, great big screwdriver mark on there where somebody's obviously tried to jam it. So I do think somebody might have been in this rim. The problem is the threads on the outer edge tend to get eaten up with people banging the bikes down and things. Right, I think we're safe again now. I've got the cup against the bearings so they can't fall out the bottom. Gravity's keeping them in the top. It definitely looks like that there's an inner metal seal is a little bit bent as well, so I do think somebody's possibly been in here before us. But backing this off should have cleaned it up. Worst case scenario, if any of these cups are knackered, I do have a spare axle. Right, so what I'm going to do is just drop it over now and let these balls fall out. Right, and then we've got another set of balls in there. We've got that out. I might be able to get that out now. I'm not sure if I've got the tool for that, because it's a weird old-fashioned spine that we don't necessarily use now. No, I don't have anywhere getting that out, and I've got to be careful because the balls in there are quite deep. The balls are deep, so you've got to dig really deep to get hold of your balls on this. The way these work is it's the old style, so there's just there's a small amount of thread on the hub, and this whole mechanism with the gear and the ratchet and everything is just threaded on. So if I had something I could insert in there and turn it out, it would come out. But the tool I've got doesn't fit because that's for the new style. The older style is slightly smaller, and I don't believe I've got one. I will have a quick look, but I am pretty sure I don't, unless I've got a big nut somewhere that I can use. The other ones, there is another style, and they used to use that mechanism, so you just have two pins there and you put it in and you twist it out. I'm just going to have a look, see if I can. No, that won't work. I thought that might be a big enough nut, but it's not having it. It's not having it. And there's even another one there for BMX wheels, and it's not having that either. I'm pretty sure that won't fit. No, that's a plumbing fitting nut. So sometimes if you can find a nut head that fits in, you can use that to extract it, but I don't think I've got anything. So I think we're just going to have to leave that where it is, and either pop them balls out and hope they drop down, and then what I'll do is I'll grease it and then we'll pop the balls in. So I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's normal, 9 balls. We've only got 3 out of there. So we'll dig out the others. There should be 9 on this side as well. That's kind of a standard number. Right, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. That's all of them out of that side. What we will do is put a... You might do. No, you won't, because you are... No, you're going in. You are going in the bin. Let's send this in. So there's a magnet on the end of here. We might be able to fish them out. Keep your balls separate. Don't mix your balls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 1 ball left. There we go. So we've got the balls from the top, the racket there, and we've got the other ones down there. So let's clean that out now. What have we got? That's good for this. Something that's not got covered in crap. That'll do. That's pretty scabby in there. You probably won't be able to see it, and I'm not coming around there for the camera, but yeah, it's not brilliant in there. Let me see if I can get a rag on the end of a screwdriver in, and we'll just wang it round a bit, see if we can clean it out, and then we'll waz a bit of actually, that's not looking too bad now. The race surface actually looks okay, so I'm reasonably happy. We're going to make there's a good prognosis for this. Because what happens is you can replace the cups, but if your cones are knackered in here, you've got no chance basically, because that's in the hub. And a lot of them don't have any way of popping them out because they are hardened and machined in there. That's okay. I think we're going to get away with that one. So clean the other side, so you can see the other side. That's the bearing surface there. I don't think they used to do them so they were removable. It was a hardened cup and you could pop them out, and actually this one might be like that. But that's it. That's cleaned up nicely actually. I'm quite pleased with that one. So if the other one is as good as that, which it looks like it might be, if I can let me try something else. You have to be a little bit careful if you're going to use a angled poker. So what I can do is I can put it onto the end of this and fish that in and get round the corners, but you've just got to be careful you don't scratch the bearing surface with the point, because these are hardened tips. Now that's spot on. That's cleaned it out lovely. That right. We'll lob a bit of grease in there. Do it, get it on the end of, and what we'll do is we'll use this to pin the balls in. What we might have to do is grease the balls before they go in as well. That always helps if you grease the balls before they go in. Ooh. We haven't had a video with me sticking my finger in a greasy hole for ages, have we? Right, it's the same on this side. It's a little bit easier to do on this side. Probably don't need to put as much in. Yeah, definitely that cup is definitely removable. So actually it's not that bad a bike this, because you tend to find it was the slightly better than shit wheels that had removable cups, because the idea was that you would keep the bike worth a bit more. Right, let's get me cones cleaned. So this cone's got its own dust cover in there as well, so once you clean it off, same thing again, just check the cone's not got any signs of wear or pitting, same as we did with the other ones. Remove anything that looks a bit gnarly. It does look like somebody's had a screwdriver in this, but no, that looks fine. There's a nice smooth bearing surface there where the balls have polished it up, but it's not pitted or bad, so we'll just put that in there and clean this up. Same thing again, just check, get all this old grease off, because there could be some contamination in there as well, and you don't want to be reintroducing that back in. Again, check that looks good. There's a little bit of corrosion on the edge, but not in the surface where the bearing is. Just going to nip these up. Nope, 16. So this needs to be tight, and we'll hope it's in the right place, because we do not want this to come undone. Alright, so all I need to do now is clean my balls and stick my balls in there. One balls. So just check we've got the right number again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright. So give your balls a quick polish. This is fiddly. I'm not going to lie, this is fiddly. But just make sure that they're clean. You've got all the muck and detritus off it, and you're just going to have to drop it in. Now you can leave your centrepiece up, or put a plunger in there to keep dropping them in to stop them from falling out, but I've got enough grease in that I don't think that's going to be an issue. It's just catching them. There's a little edge I've got to get them over. Oh, I've lost that one, that's gone straight through. That's it. Doesn't help the tray I'm dropping these into is just as mucky as the balls themselves. And if I do drop one through, I've got to be careful I don't get it mixed up with the other ones. Go on. That's 3 in, 3 to go. What I'll do is we'll do the other one, but I won't film it. Oh, it's when you drop one in and then drop it on the other one. The trouble is this pot that I'm using to catch them. So always have a pot underneath, so if you do lose any, they could possibly do with a catcher in there actually. Right, so that's 4 in. So if you put a rod down, what you can do is it stops them from disappearing down the hole. The other thing you can do is just get something magnetic and just drop them in and then slide it up. But I don't think I've got any. Spare magnets. I did have some that were stuck to here, but they appear to. Oh no, it's there. Alright. So what you can do is you can stick your ball to it and then still manage to throw it all over. I don't even know where that one's gone. Oh, I can see it. That's it. So I'm using this to catch it. I could use this one too, to be honest. So you just block it in the hole and you drop the ball in, and then as it goes in you just manipulate it into where it needs to go. Sometimes you have to circle the other balls out of the way. It's still absolutely hammering it down out there. It's almost steaming as well because it's so warm. That's it. Yeah, this is how I should have been doing it at the beginning. This is how I normally do it. I've just something that stops them from disappearing down the hole. Just go get one more in now. It's going to be a bit of a squeeze, or we're going to have to shuffle up. Which is another reason, if you've got something in the hole, when you shuffle them up it stops any of them from dropping out. That's it. They're all good. Right, they're all in place. Do you want to have a look at it? Yeah, come on. Don't know if you can see in there. I'm gonna stick my well, I think that now. You see them all. They're all in anyway. Get a bit of a close-up view. It means you don't need to look at me now. So we just want a bit of grease on this, because this is going in for the last time now. Hopefully, unless we screw something up. The ones on the other side, it's less of a hassle for us because there's no dust seal to get past. It's an open cup. The dust seal bears down as part of the rest of it. So we'll just put that in. Check that they are all happy bunnies. That's it. They've all shifted themselves around and into their final resting place now. Right, so we need to flip this over. Now, because there's no risk of balls escaping, we're just going to drop this down. Because what I've got to do is keep the tension on this so it doesn't drop out and allow the balls to fall out. Though I don't think they would fall out, to be honest. Because even if it dropped all the way through, it wouldn't drop. The whole lot of it wouldn't drop out. It would still leave a little bit of it there in the hole, so the balls couldn't get past the shaft to actually drop out, but they could get themselves in a bit of a where they shouldn't be, shall we just say. So this side should be a lot quicker. I hope you're recording. Won't be the first time. I'll just wander around here while I'm polishing my balls. Oh yeah, we've got a red light on. Polishing little tiny balls. Little baby balls. What you need to be looking at as well with the is inspecting your balls as well. It's always good to inspect your balls. Just make sure that they are nice and shiny, and they're not dull, or they're not pitted, or they don't look like they've got flat spots, because that will cause gronching. You can get it so you've got a deformed ball, and you'll feel that because it will be like a tick, 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 tick on the bearing, and it will feel graunchy as well, so it'll present the same symptoms that we got with this. So grease the cone up. So we've got plenty of grease in here. You can see there's quite a big area in there to be greased anyway, so it's not going to hurt if it's absolutely full. Right. Now this thread should be a lot better than it was coming off, but given the fun and games we've had with all these threads, and then when we drop it on as well, we'll just make sure it's somewhere near centred. It doesn't have to be absolutely 100%. As long as we've got threads going through the nuts on the other side. getting awkward. Okay. Again, when you're doing this, just make sure you're keeping an eye on and the nut is spinning and not the axle spinning against the spinning off again, which is what we were having when we were trying to undo it. That feels a bit better again now. Come on, it's indexed itself round. Alright, just be flipping awkward then. So again, finger tight, back it off slightly. You don't want to feel any play, but again, it doesn't want to be so too tight. So that's finger tight. That feels nice. Again, you just got to be a little bit careful when you do these up, because as you do them up, it will push that cone in, which is why you do it up to finger tight. Just check it, and then just back it off 1/8 of a turn, right, and then hold that, and when you drive the other nut down and the washer, and you've got to be careful with this one as well when I wire this in, that I don't let the axle spin, because you'll get the same thing again. It will, that nut will stay there, the axle spin, and it'll spin itself off because I've slackened it off now. Now, I might have to do this a few times. As you can see, I'm already, as I'm tightening that, it's already trying to do it. But this is where you need about 4 pairs of hands. So I normally retire to the vise at this point, and clamp the bottom nut in the vise. Yeah. Right, we're going to move this out of the way this time without throwing it all over the floor. Kawasaki we haven't sold yet. You don't need soft jaws for this, but all you're bothered about doing is just stopping the axle that you've locked at the bottom from spinning round when you do any of this. So right, so I'm clamped in the vise. That's it. The picture had gone upside down. So where's the bigger one? The bigger one at the bottom. Just check that it's finger tight, backed off 1/8 of a turn. Pin it in place and then lock the top nut, but keep an eye on, make sure again, keep an eye on the axle, because it could still spin. I've had all sorts of things go wrong with these as I'm binding them up. Right. That is running really well. Right, just check for any play in it, or if it's too tight. Right, that is too tight. So we backed it off 1/8 of a turn last time, so I need to back it off a bit more. There's obviously a bit more play in the thread. So undo that again, tighten it up, back it off 1/4 of a turn this time. Lock that in place. Just check it's not play. Right, no play. It doesn't matter if there's a very small amount of play and you can just barely feel it. Right, that's fine, that doesn't feel too tight and there's no play. So I think we're all good there. Let me just give this a quick wipe off. We do need to clean these up. I think they'll clean up all right actually. I'm quite pleased with them. What I will do is I'll do the other one. You don't necessarily need to see that, and then we'll clean one of the wheels and we'll get them loaded up. I've got grease all over the rim as well, which isn't a good thing, so we'll give it a wipe down with some spray, but This here we'll just rub off with we'll just do it with an oily cloth, because if you start getting into aluminium with cleaning products, it just goes black, and you end up trying to polish it, and we're not trying to do that. All we're trying to do, because it is actually a dull anodized finish, and that anodized finish is actually part of its protective coating. It's like aluminium oxidizes itself, and it gives itself a protective coating. So as long as they're all good, then, and it just looks reasonable, then we'll leave it at that. So we'll give it what's called the oily rag treatment. So it'll help protect it as well a bit. Just make sure you don't get any of the oil on the braking surface, for obvious reasons, because you'll go wee, and then it'll be back in the workshop again. These spokes aren't too bad either, but I'm not sure I'm that bothered about cleaning them all up, because they don't actually look that bad. But when you give them a wipe, they actually do come up. They're not chrome, which is good. They're possibly Galvo, which presents its own challenges sometimes, because galvanising protects them until it starts reacting. Once water gets underneath and galvanising it, it tends to accelerate a bit. And we've got a reflector as well. That's a bonus. One less thing for me to drag out of the parts bucket. When all the kids' bikes used to come, I used to just take all the reflectors off them, because there's no way they were ever going to ride at night. And all that happens is they just fall off and get stuck. So I tend to be a bit of a meanie and just took them all off anyway. Right, that wheel has cleaned up pretty good. The hub's okay. That wants a bit of just a bit of degreaser on it and a quick whiz over with the brush, but I think that'll clean up nicely. So that's fine. One wheel done. Nice and smooth. Right, job's a good one. Did you see any of that? Because I was working over there, wasn't I? Great. That's the problem when you zoom in. You forget that you zoomed in. So just in case you didn't see it, I've cleaned the hub in the middle. That's cleaned up really nicely. I've just give the outer piece here a quick wipe down, because that was pretty acky. I've just taken any excess muck off. I've given the rim an oily rag all the way round and just removed any grease that was on the rim. I think we're good to go with that one. I'm going to turn the camera off. I'll get the other one done, and then we'll be ready to put the tyre back again. Right, time to get the inner tubes and the tyres on. So I've had a quick look at the inner tubes. They are a bit crusty, but they are fine. They're not perished, so they'll be good. Just putting the valve back in. I've not lost the valve thing that I normally lose. So that usual drill, you just want a very slightest amount of air in there. Nothing more than that. That might even be a bit too much. Remember, I have a track record of maintaining that you do not need tyre levers to put on a tyre. You might need them to get it started to take off, but definitely not to put on. If you're ever using them to put on, I did trim some of the spare crap off this. So yeah, I was saying, if ever you do use them to put on, you're always risking that you're going to damage the tyre. I have checked, these are universal. There is no order of travel on these. I will check again, because this is the back wheel, this matters. Oh, there is on this one. There is on that one too, I just missed it. Right, so that goes there, it's rotating that way, arrow needs to go that way. So always look for an arrow, it shows you which way they're travelling. So on a push bike, generally any block pattern you've got forms an arrow shape, and that's the direction of motion. Right, you do need to be careful, because that doesn't apply to everything. So a motorbike front wheel is the opposite way round, and it's only because of that. I think it's the front wheel. One of them's the opposite way that you would expect, or if you're used to doing push bikes, don't be thinking, oh, flipping wheels on the wrong way around. It's not, because I've done that. I've been there and gone, sure, that's wrong, and then when I've looked at the rim, I've seen the direction of travel is the other way around. I'm pretty sure it's the it's the back wheel. It's because it's driven under a lot more load. So your tread on a push bike's mainly there for braking, not for your acceleration. But the acceleration is such on a motorbike that you've got to be able to clear the water, or it'll plane, hydroplane. Of course, the rubber thing has moved round, so now the valve doesn't want to go through the hole. Cam on. I'll just take it all off and start again and physically move that round. But I'm not going to, because I am stubborn. Problem is, it's trying to come through the hole with the valve. There we go. It's decided to get out of the way now. Alright, so just in case you don't know, and this is the first time you've seen it, put your valve in first, and then you want to make sure that your inner tube is seated nice and easy. So once that's in, line it up and put the opposite side in. It will stop you pushing it in and slightly stretching it, and then when you get around here you have a big knot that you can't fit in. It's more of an issue on 700Cs. And then what you want to try and do is get it so that the inner tube pops over. The best way to do that is to start the opposite side to the valve, just rock it over, and because the valve's already pinned in, the valve will pull it back in on there. So that's it. Next tip is don't start putting the tyre in next to the valve. What you want to do is be somewhere that's about there when you're at your last piece. So we'll start doing this now, and I can guarantee that that will pop out and move and chase me round a bit. But what you want to be mindful is that you're not trying to put this bit in directly opposite the valve, or trying to put it in next to the valve. And I did say there might be a bit too much air in this, and the inner tube has already jumped out of the rim, so that's, keep an eye on that. Make sure you keep the inner tube in the rim. I'll just let a bit more pressure out. You only have pressure on it just to stop it ending up stuck underneath the bead when you bring the bead in. So all I'm doing is I'm just rocking it round, and then when I get to there and I'm about ready, I'm just going to pinch that side and make sure that's sat in the middle of the rim, and then by magic it just pops on. And that's all you need to do. You do not need tyre levers, and these are really shit heavy unpliable tyres, so they're nice and sticky though. They look like a Kenda copy. They're almost a Kenda tread pattern, and even the writing looks very Kenderish. So I'm wondering whether they're an unbranded Kenda, which used to be really good tyres, but they seem to have gone a bit downhill since. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that argue with me. Right, so just make sure that's locked on. About 50 psi in these. I'm not going to do a crusty and try and guess it. Sorry, a crusty one. They feel nice. They look like they've sat well. Just check the beads even. We're not got any massive dips. We've got a big dip there. So that's sat too far down on the beading. So we might have to let the air out and pull it back out again. Sometimes when you overinflate them, they'll pop back out into the rim, but I don't like doing that. I'll have another go at that and just see where it is. I think it's about there. Let's see if we can get it to pop out. Still quite a lot of pressure in there actually. God, we put a lot of air in it. We might have to go for the pop out process on this one. It's definitely, and it could be that rubber thing, the liners, stopping it from dropping into the thing. That's what I was saying. You do get this a lot. Right, that one needs to come out. I think that's not a million miles away. We'll go for the shock explode out. I don't think you can see me there, can you? Oh. Right, what is the limit? It should sometimes you hear them pop when they go. Right, I think 60 was the maximum. 65. If that's sorted it out. Yeah, that's not so bad now. Right, we can let a bit of pressure out of there then. Could do this with this as well. So we want it at about 50. There is a button on here somewhere. Oh, it says here. It was the other one that had the button. Right, that's got 50 in, same as the other one. There's one I did earlier. So they're all cleaned up, ready to go. They just need to go back on the bike now. Pleased with them, they've turned out really well. Spins lovely, nice and smooth now, no graunchiness there at all. They will go for many a year as long as they're not left out in the rain. There shouldn't be that much stuff left to put on. Let me just cut you so we don't... Right, back on the bike. Let's, before we go any further, there's a couple of bits that are easier to put on if we do them now. We've lost the implement for doing it in the many collapses of the drawer we've had. Okay. So we'll just stick the reflector back on. So there was a front and a back to this one. I'll make sure it's twisted in the right place. There we go. Right. I'm going to drop something shortly. It is. We know it's going to happen. Yeah, we did. I thought we had. While I pick this up, the other one's going to fall down. Oh. Yep. You go on there. You go on there. Little split washer. They could have cut out all of that and just put a... Right, make sure it's lined up. That looks good. Right, that's that one on. Just got to get the red one on now, which is around somewhere. Oh, there we go. Give it a quick wipe down. Take some of the magic foam. As we're trying to get rid of it all. This one's at the back, so it's absolutely covered in mud. But the mud appears to have preserved it a bit better than the front one. The front one's just covered in that really acky oil. Right. That's alright. I'll have that. Stick you over here. Zoom in. Right, just remind me I've zoomed in. Because otherwise I'll be having a nightmare in about 10 minutes. And then we'll have a quick look at the messages, because I think I've had a message. A message. I don't know why there's only one funny shaped clip on this one, but hey ho. Right, I'm going to make an executive decision that that's going to go through from there, that's going to go through from the back side, and then that's going to bolt onto there like that. We'll go with that. I think we need another spanner. 10 mil. 10 mil spanner. Nice and centered. Right, ready for some. I'm being pinged to put the kettle on. I must just look like a charwalla. If we're still allowed to say that. Probably not. We'll get the Facebook police on me now for that one. Right. Question is, where's this? Is it at the bottom or is it at the top? Oh, we haven't done the... Right, so I need to take the quick release off, and that's as good as the quick release gets on these. And the bike frames decided to do an ooey in the meantime. Right, looks like we're roughly where we need to be. I think it's a 15, if I remember right. Now I find with these it's best to get one side done up before the other and pin it so it can't go anywhere, and then you can use whatever you need to do to centre it up. The problem is with these that's in a different place to where it is on there, because there's a little piece of metal behind there. So you've just got to be careful that you're keeping an eye on everything, and that the wheel isn't racked like it is there. So I've got to pull that over now to make sure it's even. I think that is about that. Do you know what? It's not a million miles from where it was on the original witness marks. Now what I'm going to do now that one's done up, I'm just going to make sure that this one is where it's supposed to be now. Right. Because the other problem is as well, as you do them up, it tends to they tend to roll because there's no, these are cheap nuts and they don't have a swivel, and there's no washer. Right. First one done. Just centre the gears up. So we'll have a quick run on the gears now while we've got an opportunity. So that's in fifth. Right, I've wound that, it's not moved at all, so we need to tighten that up. So we take the slack out of it. Because there isn't one on there, they just as only on the back. Because that's really helpful. Worst case scenario is we might have to re-tighten that up, assuming we did tighten it up. It's still quite loose. Right. I think what we'll do with this is we will wind that in a bit, and I will just pull that down and tighten it up if I can find my spanner. Now then, these were a 9, weren't they, just for fun. That's it. Still got a bit of slack in it, we'll wind that out now. I was just winding it wasn't taking any slack out of it, but I've just moved it about. Right, that's actually starting to move it now. Right, let's see how we go now. We'd like to stand somewhere else so you can see with the proceedings. Of course it would be easier with the pedals on. Right, so that's in bottom gear. That's 4, 3. We're in 3. 1, 2, 3. 2. Oh, not quite. Clicking. There we go. We're in 2, and we're in 1. Oh no, that was 2. Right. So that was 2. Right. So that's 1. Right. I think we need to take a bit off that now. Maybe gone a bit too far. Just wind it back down. They're very, the ratchet doesn't ratchet very well on these. Right. Right, so that's clicked into 4. And it's possibly a bit high, so we'll wind that back. So I'm just looking to see where it is. Right, that's in a straight line now. So we'll just take it back down. Check it goes down, back up, ratchet, 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 there we go. Quite pleased with that, that's working well. Let's wind that down to 2. Wind it back up to 1. And most of the time I'm hoping I'll be running in that. There we go. That, quite pleased with that. That tyre's still a little bit of a ripple in it. It will settle down as it gets used. I suspect some of that was in the way it was folded up as well. That's not helping. Reasonably pleased with that. Let's just see if we can do something with these brakes. Get these brakes back together. That's it, they're good. We will have to test these and centre these when we get them on the ground, because they look like they're completely out of line, so I suspect I might have put the front brakes on the back brake, because that's fun. I do know that they do use a 10, but not a 10 that I can get to with that. Needs a 10 spanner. So I don't know what I did with the 10 spanner. I certainly didn't put it back in the place where the 10 spanner is supposed to live. So these are a fairly straightforward one. It's a bolt there that's pulled through by this. There's a hole in the bolt. You can use an Allen key on the other side to hold them where you want them. Looks like a 5, which is a nice touch. So you can put that there. I can make the adjustments where I need them to be, and then use that to hold it while I tighten it up. So I just need to make sure that, or you can do it the old-fashioned way where you put it against the rim, but I'm not sure that's going to work with these because they God, I forgot how annoying these are. You can't pin them to the rim because well, actually you shouldn't have them so they're loose, so we will pin them to the rim. Right, switch that back over. I suspect these might need tightening up and adjusting. Do the same on this side, just slacken this off. Actually, when you drive them across, they're not that far off, but somebody's done the thing you shouldn't really do, and they've they've pushed the brake block in the mounting out to meet the tyre, and you shouldn't really do that because they can slide back in and then you lose your brakes. So you try to mount them as close as you can. And also it gives a better braking angle as well. Don't like these. V brakes are a very efficient brake, and they're probably one of the longest running types of brake on the more recent production bikes. You know, all the cyclocross bikes had a version of these on, so they were very, very popular in their time. I think these will look better as well once I've adjusted that. And haven't lost that off there. Right, tighten that up. I think that's going to be good. We might have to still make a few adjustments to these brake pads, but I think they're not a million miles away now. Problem is that the cable's sticking somewhere, but I think it's sticking under there, so I just need to be careful with that. Yeah, I saw it's sticking up here somewhere. Yeah, there's something definitely not right going on up there somewhere. We'll have to have a look at that. They've not come off at all. There's definitely something not right with those. Right, we'll have to investigate them. Let's get the front wheel on. It's Mothering Sunday tomorrow, so we've baked buns for grandparents, and youngest is trying to eat them already. That's it. Front wheels on. Put these on and we'll adjust the brakes on these as well. Try and do them better than I've done the back ones, and we try and get to the bottom of what's going on with the back ones, because these front ones look the front ones are alright. Perfect. Ah, no, that brake block's got a monster twist on it. No, that's still not right. You get them and then they're off. They move. No, that's still too low. I think that's it actually. I don't think we're a million miles off there. Probably just want to take a little bit out of it like we did with the other one. We could probably adjust it because I think it's probably more down to the yeah, that's good. Right, so another circle with these. I think I've got them pulled back a little bit too far actually. I know I went a bit too mad with them. I know you can't see, I'm in the way again. Right, let's do something with these. Right, oops, sorry, we've done it again, haven't we? Just stood there watching my back, nowhere near where I'm actually working. Can you remember where I put them pedals? Over here. Right, left and right. Which one's left, which one's right? I normally have a left and right written on them. They've got nothing written on them. I could have left, could have right. I'm going to make an executive decision that this is the right pedal, as opposed to the wrong pedal. They're actually not bad pedals, these. They've actually got an Allen key hole in the back. Yeah, that's the right one. Was the right one, quite literally. Is it a 5 or a 6? That's a 5. They sometimes have a bigger one in the back. Again, these do not need to be done up massively tight, except it was a 6. Thought they had bigger ones. That's it, that's a good one. Right, let's do this one, and you have to imagine I'm unscrewing this one and hopefully it'll go straight in. Look at that, straight in. Butterfingers. That looks a pretty decent bike now. All I've got to do is just find out what's going off with that back brake while it's snagging, but the rest of it's spot on. The front brake's really good, nice and grabby. Back brake's got an issue somewhere during its journey down the frame, so we've just got to find out what it is. The cable's come out altogether. Yeah, okay, the cable's come out at the end, so I'm going to have to unhook this. Probably unhook that too, just for good measure. You can't see what I'm doing again, can you? Right, I think you can see that. So it's come unhooked. It might be that I never had it hooked in, or it unhooked itself while I was doing something with it and wasn't paying attention. So they want to go. Then you normally have the gaps at the front. Then hold on to the cable, make sure that you keep the tension on, that goes in there. Then all we need to do now is just fit that one into there and pull that cable tight here, and hopefully this will go in there without too much complaint. Right, so we've just got to put some more tension on that one now. Oh, we haven't tightened, we didn't tighten them up, did we? For exactly that reason. Right, there's a couple of things we need to do then. Snagging. Let's put it over here to do this. So the handlebars aren't tightened up. I deliberately didn't do them on the stem because I've got to line them up, and it's almost impossible to do it without the wheel on. So all we need to do now is just tighten that up. What am I doing? I had it right first time. Let's give it a bit more with this. We can do because it's quite a heavy thing. Just check the handlebars look right. I think they want to go over a little bit more, to be honest. Could be wrong. Them front brakes are really good. Right, there's no play, so I'm just feeling for play. There's absolutely no play there now. They're solid. I'm really pleased with them. We'll just put a little bit more on the make them brakes. Them brakes are really good. So all we've got to do now is just fix the got a little bit too much travel on the back brake. So I think what I might do is send them in a bit further again. Yeah. It's definitely not moving very well though, which is concerning me somewhat. So if it's still, once we've aligned them, if we're still having an issue with them, what I will do is I'll try and put a bit more tension on them so I can pop them out and move it around to a tighter spring, so it's putting more pressure on it. It could be it's these themselves that are tight, which we can do a quick test on now. No, that's moving. It's a little bit, there's not much back play on that one, so it could be wants a bit of grease on the inside a bit, but let's get these brake pads a little bit closer so I don't have to adjust the I know what I said about I normally like to keep these as close to the brake arms as I can, but there's not much clearance between the tyre and the brake arm on the way they've got them set up. I'm kind of limited with what I can do there. Alright, so this one wants to come out a couple of mil, that's all. Actually they're alright now, quite pleased with them. I think they do need dialling in a little bit, there's a little bit of scuffing going on. I don't know whether it's because they're not balanced. Yeah, they're not balanced, so we'll just quickly balance them. You do it with the Allen keys, so you wind them in and it forces down on the spring. I'm just going to make sure I get the right Allen key because they are fiddly. I think it's this one. Now, right, hopefully I've got the right one now, and I've just swapped your battery pack out. Right, so normally you drive this in and it presses against the spring and forces it over a bit more. So what it usually means is the spring's slightly tighter on one side than the other, but it's often best to slacken off the spring on one side too, so it takes the tension away. That's not too bad. I think it might also be catching a tad on the thing, so we'll just try and tweak that down a bit. So I'll find out that it drives it more. When you do this, it drives it more in. I don't think it does though. I could be wrong. It's not. That's counterintuitive for how these things are supposed to work. Yeah, I think I was right first time. I think we will just take a little bit out of that one. It's got a little bit too much in. Oops. God, these are really finicky to get in the quick release clips. Yes, it's not centering very well, this one. I don't know whether it's because of the way that cable is, or... Turned it off and I flipping well got it. It's I just had to adjust the centre. I've just put a little bit of lube on the pivot and it's now returning nicely again. I think it will be a lot better as well when we take it out of here. Yeah, that's good. Still quite slack, so I think we could probably take a bit out of that if I can find the spanner. Put you over there, spin you around, find the spanner. That I must have had 2 seconds ago because I've just been adjusting the brakes. Nope. How can I lose a spanner? Well, it is a 10mm spanner. Oh no, there it is. Just to be random, I chucked it on the side instead of there. So let's take everything back out of there. I do think it might need a little bit of lube. Yeah. I still think we might have to put a bit more tension in this one. It's still loose. See, that bit's nice. I think the drag's up in the top, to be honest. I think that's where we're having our issues. That feels nice and tight now though. Oh yeah, that's lovely now. That seems to be going a little bit better. Yeah, I suspect we've take a bit more out of that one, I think. It's just not returning, which if it's not returning that's loose, and it shouldn't be loose. So I suspect it's that there's a draggy cable somewhere. Yeah, that's loose. Back up on the lift. Spin you round. I'm going to adjust these so they're on a tighter spring setting. So we should be able to do this with the actually, let's just to be on the safe side, let's just pop them off. So we're just going to move it. It's in the middle. I'm just going to move it one hole. Unfortunately, it's now slightly harder to do now. The wheel's there. I should have done this. I generally do these for the back ones because they've got more cable to pull through. I don't think you need to take them all the way off either. I think that usually does it, and then aim for the except I can't because this is all in the way. Let's unhook that from there. That's better. Right, so Get that into the top hole. Right, there's a lot more tension on there now. It's got to be even on both sides as well. So I've got to do the same on the other one, and we'll probably have to adjust the centering screws again now, because there will probably be a lot more pressure on one side than the other. Ow! I'll be looking for them, you know. Right. Just put that back together. Oops, no, not yet. Because we haven't got it over the top. Now we can put it back together. Come on. In you go. There we are. Right, same on this one. This should be really easy because we haven't got to muck about with this one. Right. Top hole. That easy. Does seem to be a little bit noisy this side. Come on. That's it. Still loose. Let's just get it down and just see where we are. There's only one side working. Which means the spring's too hard on that one. We did hit the right one, didn't we? Yes, in the top one. Right, wang that adjuster screw in. Ah, that's better. Yeah, because we had that problem last time, didn't we? Right, I think we're almost about there now. We're very close. Ouch. We just need to slacken it off slightly. Yep, I think that's it. We've got all the brakes adjusted up, front wheels running nice, everything's good. You want one last look at the yeah, ignore that, no, that's spinning around like that. Why has this one suddenly started rubbing? Yeah, we've got one side more biased than the other. Right, that one's slackening off. I think they're good. The bearings feel really good. Cool. I think all we've got to do now is just crimp some ends on them cables. Front ones as well. Now, which ones were the ones that needed doing? I think both the gear cables wanted doing and one of the back cables. And then that's it, we're done. Oh, why can't I just get the 3 out I wanted? We've got 50 million of these now. Right, where's my crusher? You've seen me do these loads of times. So just make sure it's nice and neat. Should fit. That's it. We'll. Some of these have a when they've got the thing on, actually have a tab that you can hook that behind to stop it from sticking out. But it looks like if these had it, it's possibly broken off. But we'll just crimp them anyway. Right, that's that one done. Just got this one to do now. Rear gear cable. This might need trimming back, it looks a bit of a mess. We'll have to see. These are a bit tight, these are the oh, we've got it, we've made it fit. That's good. What to do now? Oh, my nuts just fell off. How bizarre. And what a surprise, it's an 11. Oh no, it's not, it's a 12. And it didn't want to be that tight. Right. That's that. Right, let's have one last go at it then. Cool. Well, there we go. One skip bike resurrected. I still decide what I'm going to do with that. I don't know. It doesn't stand out as much as I thought it was going to do, but I think you will agree that looks a million times better than the bike we got in. So I think I'll stick it up for sale on Fleabay. Must collect. I think 40 quid. You can't grumble at that. You couldn't buy a bike that's been serviced, that's got nothing wrong with it, for 40 quid. I don't care what you think. It'll do. I might take a bit less. We'll see. Depends on who it is who's buying it. But I think that looks all right. That, quite pleased with that, considering the state it was in when it came here. Hope that's been useful. Job's a good one.